big scene. Why is it a big scene? Well, there's some important plot points, but most of all, frankly, it's because this scene is the one with the speech in it. What speech? Oh, you know the one. You know that thing when your teacher says Shakespeare and someone else in the class yells out, "To be or not to be," that one. We start with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern coming back after hanging out with Hamlet and the actors and coming back to Claudius and Gertrude. They ask, hey, how's Hamlet doing? And Rosencrantz and Guildenstern say, he's really bummed out, but we hung out with him with the actors, and so that was fun. And we don't know why he's acting weird, but he was really excited about the actors. In fact, he said that he was going to do something with the actors, and he wanted you guys to come see it or something. We don't know. Now, before they can find out more about the actors and Hamlet and his emotional state, they see Hamlet coming. And Polonius pulls out Ophelia and says, "Ophelia, you are going to be bait. You're going to sit here with this book, and you're going to look like you're here on purpose or whatever. We don't really care. No one likes you, Ophelia, but you're going to sit here, and you're going to be bait. I don't want to be bait. No one cares what you want. You're going to be bait. And you're going to sit here, and you're going to be bait, and Hamlet's going to walk by, and he's going to do his thing, and then he's going to talk to you, and we're going to listen to the stuff that he says." Claudius is very interested by this. What do you mean? We're going to listen to the stuff he says? "Well," says Polonius, "we're going to go and hide behind this curtain. And then when Hamlet comes and talks to Ophelia and talks about his feelings or his problems or whatever, I don't care, we can hear him." And Claudius is very impressed. No one knows how to spy like Polonius. So they go and hide. Ophelia sits down, and in comes Hamlet. The to be or not to be speech is actually what's called a soliloquy. A soliloquy is a speech that allows a character to let the audience in on their thoughts and feelings. It isn't acknowledged by other characters on the stage, and so it's a great way of being able to find out insight into where the character is coming from. This is particularly important in a play like Hamlet, where we have deception and characters that say one thing, but then actually do another, or they might have sort of dubious motives. Even if another character was on the stage next to them, that other character wouldn't acknowledge the things that they had said. This is actually used in modern theater all the time. In musical theater, when a character sings a song about what they want, what they wish for, what they plan on doing, other characters on stage in a musical don't suddenly go, "Why are you singing? I don't understand." This is something that Shakespeare used really, really well and still used today. Another way that you can see it utilized is whenever you have a character in a movie breaking the fourth wall, which is when they acknowledge the audience, to either give some insight or remind them of something or actually acknowledge the fact that there is an audience watching what's going on. There's lots of different examples of these. I'm sure you've seen it in either television or film, and definitely in theater. A soliloquy is a speech that allows a character to let the audience in on their thoughts and feelings. It isn't acknowledged by other characters on the stage, and so it's a great way of being able to find out some insight into where the character is coming from. This is particularly important in a play like Hamlet, where we have deception and characters that say one thing, but then actually do another, or they might have sort of dubious motives. In order to have Hamlet come in and actually tell the audience how he's feeling is incredibly important, particularly at this place in time. Another thing to keep in mind with this speech is that the first line of it, "to be or not to be," is about existence. And this is the second time that Hamlet has actually mentioned suicide. This would be incredibly important and very, very intense for an Elizabethan audience. Remember from our earlier videos that suicide in this time period was considered a mortal sin. This is the second time that Hamlet's just thrown around the idea. So to come on stage, starting a speech with, "Is it better to live or nah?" is kind of kicking in the door for a dramatic entrance. This would also be ideal for Polonius and Claudius to be able to hear, but because it's a soliloquy, even though they're on the stage with Hamlet, they can't actually hear or acknowledge him. Neither can Ophelia. In fact, she's not able to hear or acknowledge Hamlet until the end of the speech, when he addresses her. After the speech is over, Hamlet sees Ophelia, and he calls out to her and starts talking to her. She begins by saying, "Oh, you gave me some presents when we were dating, and I don't want them anymore. And so they're only nice when the giver is nice, and I don't here. These are for you." Hamlet asks Ophelia if she's honest. He confronts her about ever wanting to be with anyone, especially him, saying that all men are terrible, and why would anyone want to be married and have children? In fact, Ophelia, you should just go and be a nun in a nunnery. And then Hamlet notices Polonius and Claudius hiding and asks her, "Where is your father?" And she says, "At home, my lord." And that sets Hamlet off. He's already got issues with his relationship with women because of what he feels that his mother has done with betraying his father. And now here's Ophelia being part of this plot to spy on him and find out his secrets, and he goes off. When Hamlet leaves, Ophelia is overcome with grief and regret. She blames herself for Hamlet's madness. She believes her father and his idea that because she broke his heart, he has now gone mad, and that his madness and any future actions based on that madness are entirely her fault. Claudius and Polonius, having seen this entire interaction between Hamlet and Ophelia, have a different reaction. Claudius isn't convinced that romance is why Hamlet is behaving this way. Obviously, for us as the viewers, we have a little bit of insight that maybe he's not convinced because he's basically sure that Hamlet has figured out that he's murdered his father, and he's a bit defensive about that. Polonius, however, is convinced, oh yes, oh Ophelia, you 100% broke Hamlet's heart, you broke Hamlet, you destroyed him, he's gone mad, and it's all your fault. Claudius finishes up by saying, "I'm just gonna keep an eye on him." Yeah.
To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether it is nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. To die. To sleep. No more. And by sleep to say we end the heartache and the 1,000 natural shocks that flesh is heir to. It is a consummation, devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep. To sleep perchance to dream. Aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil, must give us pause. There's the respect that makes calamity of so long life. For who would bear the whips and scorns of time, but that the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country from whose bourne no traveller returns, puzzles the will. And makes us rather bear those ills we have than fly to others that we know not of. Thus, conscience does make cowards of us all. And thus, the native hue of resolution, is cichlid o'er with the pale cast of thought. And enterprises of great pith and moment, with this regard their currents turn awry, and lose the name of action. Softine, the fair Ophelia.
Nymph, in thy orisons, you'll my sins remembered.
But my lord, how does your honour for this many a day?
I humbly thank you. Well.
My lord, I have remembrances of yours that I have longed long to redeliver. I pray you now receive them.
Not I never gave you aught.
Mine honoured lord, you know right well you did. And with them words of so sweet breath composed as made the things more rich. Their perfume lost, take these again. For to the noble mind, rich gifts wax poor when givers prove unkind. There, my lord.
Are you honest?
My lord?
Are you fair?
What means your lordship?
I did love you once.
Indeed, my lord, you made me believe so.
You should not have believed me. I loved you not.
I was the more deceived.
Get thee to a nunnery. Why wouldst thou be a breeder of sinners? I am myself indifferent, honest, and yet I could accuse me of such things. It were better my mother had not borne me. What should such fellows as I do? Crawling between earth and heaven, we are arrant knaves, all. Believe none of us. Go thy way to a nunnery. Where's your father?
At home, my lord.
Let the door be shut upon him, that he may play the fool nowhere, but in his own house. Farewell.
Help him, you sweet heavens.
If thou dost marry, I'll give thee this plague for thy dowry. Be thou as chaste as ice, as pure as snow, thou shalt not escape canony. Get thee to a nunnery and go farewell. Or if thou wilt needs marry, marry a fool. For wise men know well enough what monsters you make of them. To a nunnery go, and quickly to farewell.
Oh, heavenly powers restore him.
You cheat! You humble and you list, and then God's creatures. Make your wantonness your ignorance go to. All the morons. It hath made me mad. I said, but there are no more marriages. Those that are married already, all but one, shall live. The rest shall keep as they are. To another go.
Oh, what a noble mind is here, O throne. The courtiers, soldiers, scholars' eye, tongue, sword, the expectancy and rose of the fair state, the glass of fashion and the mould of form, the observed of all observers, quite down. And I, of ladies most deject and wretched, that sucked the honey of his music vows, now see that noble and most sovereign reason, like sweet bells jangled out of tune and harsh, that unmatched form and feature of blown youth, blasted with ecstasy. Oh, woe is me, to have seen what I have seen. See what I see.
Love, his affections do not that way tend. There's something in his soul, o'er which his melancholy sits unbrewed, and I do think the hatch and the disclose will be some danger.